So, before we get started, let me just make a statement that some of you will not agree with. I dislike meditation. Yes, I am a former meditation teacher. Yes, I have helped spread meditation to anywhere from 5 to 10 million people through my work at Mindvalley. But I really feel that word meditation no longer resonates with me. What you're actually learning here is not a meditation. You see, let me put it this way. When you go really deep in something, you start seeing nuances. To someone who never exercised, the word exercise means something different from someone who is a professional sports person. Someone who's a professional sports person can see the nuances between different forms of exercise, cardio, muscle building, stretching, aerobics. There are nuances when you go deeper into any topic. And when you go deeper into meditation, you start to realize that the word meditation doesn't make any sense. I really dislike that word. I dislike using it. The only reason this program is called the 6-Phase Meditation is because people are Googling for the word meditation, and this will help introduce them to the idea. But where we're going to go is so much deeper. Now, let me explain why. Meditation has become an all-encompassing word for a wide variety of different topics. But because it's become all-encompassing, so many people end up with the wrong approach to meditation. Do you know that some studies show that almost 50% of Americans who try meditation give it up after one practice and never go back to it? And the reason for that is because it's painful, it's tough, and so many meditation programs out there are putting out outdated ideas such as, and these are some common ones, focus on your breathing, clear your mind, watch your thoughts. None of these are actually necessary. Now, to understand how we got into this whole mess of meditation confusing so many people, you got to understand where meditation came from. Meditation is an ancient practice, but the way people meditated in India 2,000 years ago is so different from how we need to meditate today. Today, you don't have the luxury of being able to escape from your village, sit in a cave, not worry about your kids or your career or your Facebook status updates. Life is different. You can still gain the same benefits from meditation, but the problem is people are looking at those old styles that you could call monastic practices and applying it to a modern world where our life as a species is just fundamentally different. So the word I prefer to use is transcendent practice. What you're going to learn here is not so much a meditation as a transcendent practice. A transcendent practice is any practice that takes your attention away from the physical world and makes it go within. By that definition, the practice of gratitude, where you reflect on joyful events in your life to raise your states of happiness, is a transcendent practice. Visualizing your goals in your mind is a transcendent practice. The practice of forgiveness is a transcendent practice. 6-Phase is about putting together 6 of the most powerful, scientifically backed transcendent practices into one unified approach that lets everyone, and I mean everyone, experience the profound beneficial effects of meditation without the stress, the anxiety, and the BS rules that make meditation so hard for so many. Now, at this point, I know some of you hardcore meditators might disagree with me, and that's okay. My goal is to teach the proper practices to millions of people regardless of their circumstance. The goal is not meditation, it is optimized meditation. I do not believe you need to spend 12 days in a retreat learning to go inside your own head, clear your thoughts, and focus on your breath. I think that's a waste of time. I do not believe your meditation rituals need to be an hour long. You can get the same results with the right mental practice in 10 to 15 minutes. And everything I teach is validated not just by science, but through my own personal journey in this field for almost 20 years. What you're going to learn here is the equivalent of minimum effective dose exercise for meditation. See, in the last 5 years or so, science has popularized the idea of minimum effective dose exercise. The idea, for example, that with certain high-intensity exercise routines, say Tabata or optimized strength training, you can produce the same results as someone who spends an hour in aerobics, even though you only spend 4 minutes. That same approach applies to meditation. This is what you're going to learn. And so many of you who have tried meditation before but just think it's too lengthy, it's too boring, your mind is so active, or you're ADD and you can't clear your mind, the 6th phase is the solution. But before I tell you about the 6th phase, I want to share with you a little story so you understand why meditation is so important to me. In the last couple of years, as I've built up this company, Mindvalley, I've dived deep into meditation. I was a meditation instructor in New York and London for 5 straight years. I created Ombana app, which was the highest grossing meditation app in 30 different countries, with over 3 million people downloading and using it. I wrote a best-selling book on meditation that hit #1 in the meditation category on Amazon, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. I created Mindvalley Academy, which became one of the foremost online schools for meditation with 2 million subscribers. And I helped publish and grow the careers of many leading meditation programs and teachers in the world today, from the Silva Method to Om Harmonics. When people ask me, how do I meditate? What I'm doing is drawing on decades of work across all of these different forms of meditation into what I now believe is the optimal path to meditation for the widest number of people out there. And as controversial as this approach may be, all I ask is you have an open mind, take this program with me, and decide on day 3 if you're going to continue it. But first, let me tell you how I got so obsessed with meditation in the first place. 2001, I moved to Silicon Valley to start my company. I was a computer engineer, but my timing, in a word, sucked. The dot-com bubble exploded. 14,000 people were laid off in April 2001, the month I decided to move to Berkeley. I lost all my money, and I was basically renting a couch from a college student in Berkeley who figured out a way to optimize his finances by renting out his least favorite piece of furniture. So I was sleeping on a couch, and around me were all my belongings in the world. I was $30,000 in debt. Even with a computer engineering degree, I couldn't get a job. So I was just firing off my resume to all of these different companies, hoping someone would hire me. Now, finally, I got that job. It was all the way in December 2001 when I finally got accepted. But the economy was still bad, and companies were not even paying a base salary. This particular job was a dialing for dollars job. I had to pick up the phone, call up attorneys in places around the United States, and convince them to buy a certain type of software to manage their firms. So I'd be given an area, say San Antonio, Texas, and every day I had to walk to the San Francisco Public Library, check out the yellow pages for San Antonio, Texas, and then make a list of all the attorneys I was going to call from A to Z, pick up the phone, and start dialing. And sometimes you'd make a sale, sometimes you wouldn't, and in that scenario, if you didn't make a sale for a month, you just didn't get paid. It was a brutal time to be in the Bay Area. Now, somewhere around February of 2002, after being in that job for a while, I just felt this feeling like my life was failing. And you know, sometimes when you get to that feeling, the first thing you do is you go to Google and you search for help. So I went to Google, and I can't remember what I put into Google. Maybe it was how to advance your career. Maybe it was why does life suck so bad? But what I remember is I saw a listing for a class on meditation in Los Angeles. And the promises were fairly big. It said that people who take this class do better in sales, they're more positive about their job, their careers advance. So I thought, okay, look, I have nothing to lose. LA was just a short flight away. I got on a plane, flew to LA, showed up at the class, and there was my first big disappointment. I was the only person in that room. I was the only student who showed up. So the teacher basically just focused on teaching me. I finished a 2-day class in 1 day, and Saturday night I flew back to San Francisco to continue at my work. Now, I learned a number of really interesting things in that class. I learned how to get into relaxed states of mind. I learned how to use my mind for goal setting. I learned how to tap into creativity and intuition. And when I got back to work in San Francisco, something interesting happened. Within 1 week, I doubled my sales. Now, it didn't stop there. A month later, I doubled my sales again. A month later, I doubled it again. I was getting so good at my job that I got promoted 3 times in the next 4 months. And not only that, but I got so good at my job that the founder of the company gave me 2 positions in that business. I became one of their leading software sales reps, and I also became their business development manager. I was able to juggle 2 roles. I became one of the highest paid people in the company. And when my boss asked me, "What on earth are you doing?" I explained to him that I'd learned meditation, that when I was on the phone with people, I was tapping into levels of empathy. I was sensing their emotions. I was connecting with them mind to mind. I was visualizing my targets. And he said, "That's a crock of bullshit, but whatever it is, keep doing it." But I knew I discovered something. Now, I stayed with that company for 18 more months. I was doing incredibly well. But something unique happens when you start meditating. Your life starts becoming more than just about you. Because you see, when you go within, you expand your awareness to encompass everything else. You cannot help but feel more connected with the rest of humanity, with the rest of the world. And that's the common thing that happens when people meditate. You start caring more about the world. And after 18 months at this job, I felt that the job no longer spoke to me. I felt a loss of meaning. I decided I was going to quit, and I was going to do something that meant more to me. Now, I remember Nelson Mandela said, "If you want to change the world, change education." And I thought, what better form of education to change than to help get this gift of meditation out to as many people as possible? Because you see, one thought never left my mind. Why was I the only person in that class? This class had transformed me. But why did I not learn this at University of Michigan, where I did my Bachelor of Science? Why was I the only person in that class? Meditation needed to spread. And that's when I founded a little website called mindvalley.com. I got certified to become a meditation instructor, and for the next 5 years, I was teaching meditation classes in New York and London. Thousands of students. Now, as I started teaching these classes, I started asking myself bigger and bigger questions. How could I go from a few thousand students to millions? And that's how Mindvalley as a company emerged and grew and became the transformational company we are today. So when people ask me, "Why do you love meditation?" Well, you now know the answer. But when people ask me, "What form of meditation do you do?" that answer comes from over a decade of experience building up Mindvalley and meditation programs and products and seminars and festivals and apps and software that have now been used by between 5 to 10 million people globally. And what you're going to learn here in this course is the most optimal form of meditation I know. So here's what it looks like. First, know that I don't like the word meditation. It's too all-encompassing. What you're going to learn here are a series of 6 transcendent practices that elevate your sense of performance in being and spiritual development in the world. All of these have been scientifically proven and tested on millions of people. Today, over 1 million people globally use the 6-phase meditation, and these range from people at every major US sports team, from the NBA to the NFL to Major League Baseball, to incredible rock star entrepreneurs, to guys who are doing incredible epic things in the world, from Hollywood movie making to building companies and organizations which are shaping the world. And they do it because this meditation is not just about spiritual centeredness, but it's about actually increasing your performance in everything you do so you can make a greater impact on humanity. Now, to understand the 6th phase, let me explain it to you in terms of a simple metaphor. Most of us have played computer games at some point in our life. I grew up as a kid in the 80s, and the computer game that really captivated me was this old 80s game called Rings of Zilfin. And there I had to play this little tiny character called Reese, and you had to travel in this 80s computer game land to pick up different skills, upgrade your weapon so you could finally save the realm from the evil Lord Dragos. And for Reese to fight and save the land from Dragos, Reese had to keep upgrading different aspects of his being. He had to upgrade his speed, upgrade his charisma, upgrade his accuracy with a bow and arrow. You had to upgrade all of these things. And I played this game for months and months and months, and after a while it got boring. And so I thought, as a 12-year-old kid, well, why didn't I just hack the game? So I taught myself computer programming, got into the game. Back then, games were on a single floppy disk, and figured out what different variables in the code I had to hack to give Reese unlimited speed, unlimited goal, unlimited power. I then killed Lord Dragos, finished the game, and finally could go back to regular life. Now, the same thing applies to all of us human beings. There are 6 fundamental attributes that I feel help us become the most extraordinary version of ourselves. And when you understand these 6 attributes, you see why they are so important in human life. But there are also 6 specific ways you can hack these attributes to give yourself the biggest jolt of power in each of these 6 areas. This is what the 6th phase is going to do.